So welcome to, this is a second series of the Power Up Your Business podcast. And in this interview, really stoked to have Kylie and Malcolm from Brizscapes, based up Bris Vegas way. Done a really great job of, over a long period of time now, of building a landscaping business that really is positioned in their market, in their niche, and in their sweet spot. And really keen to listen in this episode about, and Malcolm and Kylie are really over the initial 10-year period of building the foundations, but in the last 12 to 18 months, how they've really supercharged their business. So Malcolm and Kylie, welcome.
Thanks, Jonesy. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Stoked. And Malcolm and Kylie, really great too, obviously from our point of view, on a personal point of view, being clients now for close to 24 months, 18 months. So it's great to have you on board and see you on this journey. But can you give us a bit of an insight into the early days of operating your business and starting from getting from working for someone else and then starting your own business? So can you just set the scene, how you started, what year you started, and how those early years look like?
Yeah, so we kind of started 13 years ago, basically just mowing lawns, a little bit of landscaping here and there initially. And I guess our main goal was to be able to have Kylie at home looking after the kids, and I'm on the tools working, and herself doing some office work, financial stuff in the office, as a bit of a team game with both of us.
And then those early years, started to get driving, and Kylie helping out. How those early years look like for yourself in the background? Again, getting the family started, then also working.
We're very, very busy days. Yeah, particularly juggling young children and a business. Very long days. Yeah.
And what did a normal so was it definitely work into the evening, trying to catch up over the weekends? How was that looking like? How was that lifestyle looking like?
Yeah, we'd basically be up early and up and out late. So I myself personally be up early, get on the tools, do the jobs throughout the day, come home, have dinner with the kids, bath the kids with Kylie, and then back in the office till when I had to get quotes done. And speaking on Kylie's behalf, she was probably the same, trying to deal with the kids throughout the day and in the morning, and then in the office at night time to try and get invoicing and everything out as well.
Yes.
And that was that classic, as we term, that classic scenario where you really build a job for yourself and you feel like you're on that hamster wheel. I know that, especially in those days that we've discussed often, and for all that work that you've put in, there was that hand to mouth or living week to week feeling with a lack of sort of certainty about the future. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It was day by day, struggling most weeks to get by, but we kind of felt like we were stuck in it. So we just kept trying and trying and trying to make it work, make ends meet, and provide for our young family. So, yeah,
And this
very
is
much the habit of just working ridiculous hours, and it was full on.
and it's a common story. It's a common scenario where it's that juggle where you're trying to grow your family, develop your kids, have a lifestyle as well, maintain your personal relationship as well as then growing the business. And it's very, very difficult. And that was over like a 10-year period, correct? It got to that stage where a 10-year period or around that sort of early sort of 2019, late 2018, where for both of you getting together, you realised you needed to make a change, or you needed to sort of say, okay, what do we need to do to get out of this rut or go to that next level? Is that correct?
Yeah, so we were kind of really slogging it out for good 11, 12 years there, thinking we're doing everything right. But there'd be times there, Jonesy, when Kylie goes, what can I invoice? What can we need money? And I'm like, well, I'm busting my backside here to get the jobs done and doing the work and working long hours, and why don't we have money in the bank? So it's that real stress of getting the work but having no reward at the end of it. And it got to one stage there about 18 months ago last year, and there was nothing. We had no work. We had no money in the bank. There's the risk of losing your house, and it just got to a point where we both sat down with each other and said, "Look, we've got to take this, one direction. It's either we give it up, look in the paper, find ourselves a new job, or we turn this business into something decent." And that's what we did. We made the decision that we're going to keep going, we're going to turn this thing around and charge forward.
And that was obviously, it's a tough decision when you basically, it's that reality check where you look in the mirror and you say, listen, what needs to improve, or what decisions do I need to make? And what did it look like? So around that 18 months ago, 2 years ago, I think you're turning over at that stage around $400,000 a year. Is that correct?
Correct.
Just around that position. So you're turning over around $400,000 a year. You're still very busy doing a lot of work. But at that stage, though, you're not making any profitability, struggling to really draw that wage. And then obviously it's that stage where, and every business owner generally gets to it, and it's a credit to your persistence and determination, still to be really driving it hard for that 10 years, 11 years, because most people drop out before year 5. It got to that stage, obviously, where you knew you needed to, I suppose you knew that outside help, correct? And I suppose, and that's a credit to both you realised that you both needed to change. You both needed to look at how you looked at your work or took the job on in terms of how do I build a business as opposed to a job. Now, a lot of business owners, especially listening to this podcast, a lot of business owners don't actually understand the difference between, building a job and actually creating a business. A lot of people as a tradie, they get a business card, they get out there, they go to market and they start selling and they get busy. And it's a bit like what you were sort of talking about, Malcolm. You're like, I'm busy doing the job. I don't want to have to worry about invoicing. I don't have to worry about cash flow. I don't have to worry about trying to follow up to get paid. What do you mean, when Kylie's saying to you, look, hang on, I'm sitting here, I've got nothing in the bank, and you're on the job site, you're flat out, you're just scratching your head thinking, well, what more can I do? Correct?
Yeah, and that's it. Like, I was always busy. You speak to people. Oh, how's work going? Yeah, I'm flat out. I'm busy. I'm working hard. I'm getting home late. I think, I'm doing the right things here because I'm busy. I had an apprentice, had a tradesman, we had an office girl as well. And then when the tough time came 18, 19 months ago, we didn't have that money in the bank to help us through it. We had literally nothing. So, and that was the turning point for us to say, look, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And at the end of the day, it was kind of made easy because we had to make that decision. We had to make it. Unfortunately, it was forced upon us, but we had to do it.
Yeah, basically you had the backs to the wall and you're in the corner and you knew there was you needed to make a proactive choice.
Yeah.
And from there, so looking at there, so again, a small team, high stress, working long hours, putting a lot of pressure on the family life, and then that uncertainty of where to go and what to do. So turning over around that, $400,000 no profit, being really, really busy to now, and this is that transition to now, and then just fast forwarding it. Now we're at a situation where you are now going to be definitely well positioned this year. You'll be pushing through the $1 million, so you're going to be a seven-figure business. So tick that box, which is great. Turnover, but as we know, and to everyone, in our community, in our methodology, turnover is one thing, but it's all about the bottom line. And the great thing that you've done, and it's a credit to you, which we're going to really tap into here, and this is where I want all the listeners to really understand some of the key things that you put in place to achieve this. So going from about a $400,000 business to a seven-figure business. Then, more importantly, operating profit, going from making basically no profit, not drawing a substantial wage, to now generating a profitability of around that 16, 17% operating profit after drawing a wage, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So it's a massive difference, right? So a massive difference. All of a sudden, the financial pressures are gone. But then the kicker, right, and this is the big kicker, you've gone from really working hard and not drawing anything, thinking at that stage where you're probably at that would you agree that you think you still got to do more, right? Even though you can't physically probably do any more, but you're still thinking, shit, I'm not getting ahead financially, so I've got to do more. So you're thinking, I'll do it. To now, down the track, how's the work-life balance? Not like how many hours again in your schedule for both of you? How's that transitioned to now? How many hours are we working now, and from a control point of view?
Well, I'm able to work school hours, which is great with our 3 kids. So I work from 9 till 3, so I can still drop them off at school and pick them up. And yeah, Malcolm's probably working, you know, a normal 7 till 4 type of day. So it's incredible, the lifestyle change that we've had now.
The turnaround's been unbelievable, right? And Malcolm, again, one of the things that we talk about with yourself, Malcolm, is that you've now gone from smashing yourself on the tools on site. You're now working intelligently, as we frame working intelligently, on the business.
Yeah, so literally I am technically off the tools. So the boys make a joke of it now that, careful, Malcolm, don't get any calluses on your hands from working too hard. So so I'm off the tools now, but working on the business, as you said, Jonesy, which, it's funny to say, it's been the best move that we ever did, was getting off the tools. It really changed the business. It got the business moving. It got it growing. It got it moving upwards. It allowed me to focus on, as you would say, the numbers with Kylie and hitting the targets that we needed to do. And now instead of me just kind of doing it all, I now try and delegate the workload to my team.
Yeah, and look, it's a credit to you, Malcolm, too, is that, and this is where a lot of tradie business owners, they really struggle with that thinking. What do you mean I've got to be off the site? What do you mean I've got to spend more time on the business? Because it's so easy as a tradie, and myself being there back in the day in the 1990s, when I'm flogging my plumbing business, I just thought I had to be on site. I thought my value was on site. But at that stage, I didn't realise that I was actually a business person. I was still in that tradie mindset where I thought it was all about the job. But because you're now, and again, another key thing is that you're starting to build a brand, right? You're starting to build Brizscapes. Brizscapes is the brand. Brizscapes is the asset that's got the systems, okay, that's got the credibility, that's got the team. It's not Malcolm. And you've done a good job of getting out there in the marketplace saying that, hey, we deliver this via Brizscapes, where a lot of tradie business owners struggle because it's all about them, the individual. So the client always wants them. The client really never has faith in the processes or their other team members, where I think you've done a really good job of building up your team, getting your team to the confidence level as well, that they can actually follow your lead. And that's a credit to you. And that's the difference between building a brand that can deliver for you, or having a job that's all about you as the individual. And you've done a great job of transitioning from that, which is difficult. And also, would you agree too, you've got to have confidence in your team? Agree?
Yeah, totally. And it's hard to let go because it is our little baby that we've had for 13 years. We developed it, all that time. But don't get me wrong, I still go to site. I still see the boys of an afternoon in the office, or I might see them in the morning. So like, for example, this morning I went to site, being Monday morning, and just stood back and watched them work and just gave them a few little tips, gave them a few pointers, just be there. So I'm still a point of contact for them, but I was only there for an hour, hour and a half. But it just shows that I still care. I'm still with them. I'm still on the job. And we're all one team. We're all one team.
And I think that's the key thing, is that the team know that you're there to support them. And that's the thing, when you're off the tools as a business owner, when you're off the tools, you've got more time to plan, prepare, more time to have conversations with your team, more time, to get to know them, to help them grow, but also give them the trust and confidence that they're doing the right thing. Because again, it's hard when you're on the job and your main focus is, come on, let's get in, let's get the excavator in, let's get the supplies in, let's do it all. It's very hard as a business owner, when you're doing all that, to actually sit back and give attention to your team to make sure, are your team growing? And the planning, and again, getting out of that reactive mindset where you're that classic hamster on the wheel, where I'd love $1 for every time that people say to me, Jonesy, that'd be great. In a perfect world, that'd be great to stop, plan, prepare. And I say, you can do it, but your choice is to be dictated by the end of the phone and be reactive. And this is what I really want to tap into now. And this is where some of the things that you've done really well. And this is where, for the listeners and other tradie business owners there, or business owners in general, okay, that really want to start actually getting to a stage where we're working intelligently, where we're working less, but we're generating more profit. Because again, it's about working smart, not working harder. And it's some of the processes. Now, one of the great things that both of you have done, and credit to you, and a lot of it, from Kylie's point of view, you've done really well in clarifying your roles. Okay, you've really done, segmented your roles between Kylie, especially now both of you in the office primarily. But Kylie, you're very clear on your job description and accountability, and likewise, Malcolm, your job description. Kylie, can you just, some of the processes, again, getting into that stage where we're getting good cash in the bank, making sure that we're getting paid, we're getting invoiced. What are some of what we call habits, those success habits that we talk about? What are some of the key things over the past 18 months that you're implementing on that weekly basis or regular basis really transformed your decision-making as a business owner?
So we do a lot more reporting within the finance and marketing department in order to track any trends that might be happening within our business. We also have weekly meetings as well. So there's constant communication between everyone. So everybody's on the same page, and we all know what our focus is for the week. Also, we do our 13-week cash flow prediction every Monday. So we can see for the next 13 weeks where we're sitting. We also know what our weekly targets are, our monthly targets are. Everything is very clear to us now. So it's made a huge difference, even just tracking where our leads are coming from and knowing, what our best marketing strategies are moving forward. So it's all those little things that are helping us. And then I suppose the profit plan, so to set those goals for the next 12 months and just being accountable for those goals and being able to report back to them, whether it's, weekly or monthly, and go, okay, are we going to hit our targets? Are we on track to smash our goals? So I find Malcolm and I are both very disciplined and competitive people. So we love having the goals set high. It makes us want to achieve those goals and smash them. So it's really helped, within our business to keep us on track and hold us accountable.
Yeah, that's great. And I think one of the things that you do really well, which is those processes, and this is what I say to, like, a lot of business owners will say, and because they're still struggling, and they'll go, yeah, but I've got these processes, or I've got a job management system, or I've got, cash flow. But you can have a process or a system, but if you don't leverage it and you haven't got the discipline, like you say, to actually really fully buy in and lean into it on that weekly basis, make sure it's up to date, make sure that you understand how things are ticking, then you're never going to leverage the power of any process. And the great thing that you both do, is that you both leverage the power of all the processes that you use. And as you say, it gives your whole team a clear focus of what needs to be achieved. And like you mentioned, you're talking about, where our part of our methodology with our Cube software platform, it's just that profit plan, make sure we've got that clear sight of the next year. But I think what you do really well too is that how we're tracking report, agree, which is that really line by line, where every bit of expense, there's got to be accountability around that, agree, and you do a good job with that, Kylie, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just and like you say, it's the 1%ers. So it might just be a little bit here, a little bit there, but by the end of that financial year, the little bit is a lot, and somebody needs to be accountable for that. So it just makes you think about every little thing and how can we do it better. know, even if it's Malcolm and I, what can we do better? You know, can everybody do better? So, it's really, really good. Helps you keep focused.
And at the end of the day, it just gives us the confidence, Jonesy. You know, like 18 months ago, we didn't have the confidence. We didn't know where we were, where we were heading. We didn't know what was coming in. But now that we have all these systems, these processes in place, we know what's happened in the past. We know what's happening now. But now we can project, we can forecast what can possibly happen in the future. So we can make educated decisions on, do we need to hire another person to cope with this workload that we're projecting coming up? Or do we need an extra truck? Or do we need this? So we're ahead of the game, we're ready. So when these things happen, we're proactive, as you say, we're ready to go. We're not on the back foot, we're not chasing our tail. So it's just one less stress that we have to worry about. We're just a lot more confident, which takes away the stress, which makes our life a lot easier and more relaxing.
And essentially, it's just that turning it around from that hamster on the wheel, being reactive to everything, is actually putting the time in and being proactive, which, as you say, just gives you the confidence you're in control and reduces the stress.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, this is what I really want listeners to tap into here. So, again, the common thought is that, I've got to be on the job to make profit. The common thought is that, I've got to be there with the customer. The common thought is that, I've got to be leading the charge. And, the common thought is, I don't want to give my team members too much information because, they might take it and run with it. So that's the common thought. And that's the common thought is that leads to where most business owners never get ahead. Most business owners struggle to draw trade business based, struggle to draw a regular wage. They can't even draw a regular weekly wage, right? So that's a common scenario because they don't want to get off the job because it's all about them. And this is where I say to people, well, you're now a business owner and you've got to make that big leap, which is what you've done. And now by focusing on the key important things as a business owner, by looking at the processes, you're now in a much different position, both profitability wise, both from a stress level wise, but more importantly, you're building an asset or a brand that's got value. Now, would you agree, Malcolm, this would never happen, where you were 18 months ago, where you just thought it was all about the job, right? Correct?
Yeah, correct. Like 18 months ago, I thought I was doing it right because I was busy. I thought, I'm a business owner, I know what I'm doing. I'm a tradie, I'm a landscaper. I can build this, do that. And I thought, we had it all. But when at the end of the day, when there's no money in the bank, you got to realize, there's something that I'm not doing well, something that I'm missing. Just had to put my hand up and say, look, need help. We both need help, which we did.
And look, and that's a credit to you because obviously a couple of years ago, you attended one of our training sessions, correct? Somewhat one of our Blueprint for Success training sessions. And
I attended 3.
There you go.
Been to 3. Trying to do it myself. I was trying to do it myself to take the cheap option, do it the easy way. But needed that extra help to turn it around. And
look, and that's part of, as you know, like from a coaching point of view or an advising or mentoring point of view, it's, especially now, it's that accountability and that drive and putting the pieces together that obviously assists, right? And now the good thing that for both of you, you're open, and we talk about a lot, success leaves clues. What we talk about here is that, we're not reinventing the wheel. What we're doing, and as you do really well, we're putting a puzzle together that's a well-worn puzzle. We know the outcome. Unfortunately, some people still think, oh no, look, I'm going to go this way, or I'm not going to do it. So what we're talking with business owners, it's amazing. Those little 1%ers do these little things right. Some people think it's a myth, or it's not going, it's not for me, or whatever. But the great thing for both of you is that you connected the dots. Yep, sometimes it takes time. Sometimes we've had people jump on board, and part of our community, Malcolm and Kylie, which some of the team, they saw us 10 years ago. They thought, 10 years ago, no, it'll be sweet. I'll just get it done. Then they come on board 10 years later and they say, I wish I was jumped on board 10 years ago. But that's fine. Everyone's got a different take and a different journey for their business. And some people just don't want it, and that's fine. But this is where I'm grateful for both you guys coming on board and trusting us on your journey. But we just love having people and clients on board like yourselves that really buy into it, because we're competitive as well. We just love people who want to win. I love, Malcolm, just you want to sort of just touch on some of your weekly sales targets, how, if you miss your target by say 5,000 1 month or 1 week, that then adds on to next week, correct? That's how competitive you are. How does that drive your focus for business development?
Yeah, so I guess our main goal is to have a certain dollar value that I got to try and get in sales each week, and then if I miss that, then I got to try and make it up the following week. So it just kind of keeps us that 13 weeks in front. It keeps us rolling, just keeps you eye on the ball, keeps you in the game, and you just if you drop it, then Kylie comes in and says, "Hey Mel, you haven't won any quotes this week," which she's done for the past couple, so I've got to pull my finger out. But but it's good, she keeps me accountable. She keeps the whole team accountable as well, and we just keep pushing forward with having our set goals.
You want to add to that, Kylie? In terms of
look, I just I think by simplifying it and making it a weekly target, it's easier because you know what you have to do by the end of the week. Whereas I feel like if it goes any further than a week, it's easy to lose track of time. So this is why we do a lot of our reporting on a weekly basis, and we have our targets on a weekly basis, because it just keeps the ball rolling. We know, okay, well, we've just completed a week's worth of work, so we need to have another week's worth of work booked in to keep the flow happening. So I just find it's working really well to keep us going.
And I think it's great that those success habits that we talk about on that weekly basis, and this is where, for the listeners, this is how our methodology and the connect the dots is that from a process point of view, one, you get a target. So you're really clear from a profit planning, you work out your target. Cool. I need, as an example, I need $40,000 a week or a month. There's my target. Cool. Lock it in. The next thing is then, okay, where's our sales pipeline? Connecting the target with making sure you've got enough development and enough leads in the system. Correct, Malcolm? So, then we get that in there. So we know we've got enough leads. We're winning the work. We're going to hit that work. And then the next thing, it's one thing then winning the work and then Kylie jumping in correctly. Then it's like, okay, when are we going to get paid? Making sure we're going to get paid. And then from the cash flow forecaster, and then we go to the how we're tracking report, the profitability. Okay, great. We've hit our target. We've been paid. That's great. But also then too, is it profitable work? So do we deliver that 40,000 on our agreed cost of sale with our labour percentages? And so ultimately, we just haven't wasted a month working hard without profit. Agree?
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
So it's in that simple sense, and probably for listeners, what I've just gone through probably sounds complicated, but as you're, with our process, trying to connect the dots and making it as simple as possible, because that's our passion, and that's where we get all freaked out, right? And I get really excited by the numbers, right? It's about, hey, you need to know your scorecard. And this is where I cannot accept when business owners go, oh, no, it's not the account looks after that, the bookkeeper looks after that, the mother-in-law looks after that. That is a recipe for disaster. And in like any sporting organization, in anywhere around the world, you need to know your scorecard, number one, to make sure you're achieving your targets, but also what areas needs to be improved. And you've done that hands down. And that's like, it's a massive achievement, in terms of the growth, over 100% growth in sales, growth in profitability. And it's all because, like you say, it's a 1%. It's not about working harder, everyone. This is what I want you to understand, listeners. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's not about holding on tighter. It's about letting go. It's not about doing more. It's about less is more, okay? Do less work, do less things, okay? But do them great, okay? Add better value, bring your A game, do all those little things so you maximize. Don't go out there and do more and get another process, another job management, win more work, do more marketing or hire more teams if you're not prepared to do the 1%ers to ensure that you deliver profitability. Because you can do more and the cash goes south. Profitability goes south, stress levels go north. Okay, so, and this is what I love about, your whole basis of that, the fundamentals of success is those 1%ers and staying focused on that. And the key link I want to sort of tap into now is that, it's great. You've got so you're doing really well from an admin and office point of view. Both of you are working well with your team. You're working well, collaborating really well as a husband and wife team, which is awesome, which is really important, and really defining your roles and responsibilities, accountabilities. Just tell share your story now with connecting to your team. We touched a little bit about it before, but how do you drive your team on site? So when you're working in the office, and yeah, they have a bit of jest about, oh yeah, Malcolm, yeah, don't get blisters and calluses or whatever. But what are some of the key processes you've put in around your team to ensure that they've got the confidence and you've got the confidence in them to deliver on your expectations?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, I try and meet with them. So whether it's individually, whether it's a team thing at the shed on a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon, or whether it's with them on site, just going through, okay, the boys might be doing a link block wall. I'm just there with them, standing in the background, just talking to them about watching them, how they're doing it, and just correcting them on how we do it our way. All right, just being there, just to guide them, show them. Not all the time, but most of the time. Even if we have a video camera there, just videoing how we do it. This is the way we do it. So we have that step and that process in place. So when the next guy comes along, they can watch that video as well. But we also have a core set of values and beliefs that we like try to follow as well. And they're up on the truck, they're in the office, and it's just 6 things that the boys try and achieve each day, whether it's with the client, with each other, with the work they do, anything like that. So it's just not how they're working, it's how they're acting as well. And then, if they hit all their targets, they do all their goals, the work is good. At the end of each quarter, we try and do a big team bonding thing, whether it's, go-karting or going out to dinner, stuff like that.
And how's the response from the team when you do those good little get-togethers, especially after they've been working hard and they've delivered? What's the response and what's some of the outcomes from the team when you have those sort of get-togethers?
Yeah, look, we've only had a couple because of COVID's been tough, but when we have had them, it's been awesome. Just creates that good morale, good team spirit. But even just catching up, for a morning brekkie on a Monday morning, having a brekkie, or just catching up Monday morning at the shed, have a chat about the weekend. It's just for an hour or two, go through a few small things, toolbox talk, safety while they're there in a cool, relaxed environment. Just gets the boys in the right frame of mind, ready to go for the week. We kind of found doing it on a Friday afternoon, everyone's tired, everyone's buggered after a long week working with each other. So Monday's always good. Everyone's fresh, ready to go, ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I think what we found, just for those out there that are looking at maybe implementing some of these team meetings, definitely we find with our clients in our community, Monday mornings are definitely good. It's a good way. They're fresh. They come in, bang, have a chat about the weekend, and then go. As likewise, back at the end of the week, it gets a little bit tiresome.
Yeah, because sometimes Mondays can be a bit hectic if you're not organised. Because it's like, oh, where are we at? What we're doing? Oh, it can get pretty crazy.
Now, just doubling back on one of the key things that you're talking about, which is culture, which is values, and it's one of the key things that underpin everything that we're about in our blueprint methodology and what we do, especially around that, to really power up your business. Okay, it's one thing having values and behaviors. Just rattle off one of the key ones on the way you do it, how you do it. What's one of the key values / behaviors that you've got, Malcolm?
Yeah, well, the first one's wow. So wow is basically, can you wow the client by the work you do? Can you wow a teammate by helping them out or something like that? Or even just wowing myself as the boss, taking control. Yeah. Other one's growth and learning. We don't know it all. Everyone's got to learn new stuff. Always try and push the boys. Okay, what did you learn this week? All right. And, for example, our apprentice said, oh, I didn't learn anything this week. And I said, oh, didn't you do a block wall? He goes, yeah, I've done a block wall before. But I said, have you done that style of block wall before? No. Well, there you go. You learn how to do that one. So even if it's just minor, something simple. Other ones, building a family and team environment spirit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're probably our main 3 that we do have.
And I love that there. Again, it comes back to here, what you do well is you connect, so it's 1% of connecting. Again, a lot of organizations will have values on the wall, they'll be on the wall, they'll be on the truck, but they actually never refer to it. And what you do really well is on a daily basis, hourly basis on a conversation, you'll connect the dots, right? You'll connect, whether it be in a team meeting or one-on-one. Essentially, it's like, well, if you stand back on a job and you look at it and you go, look, does that really wow you? Does that really wow us? And your team can then really understand that, okay, that's not really a wow factor. Well, let's just then go to the next level. Would you agree on that? Is that how you really drive them to get, to go that next level and bring that better performance on a daily basis?
Yeah, because the boys always, always ask me, oh, Mal, what do you think? And basically I'll just stand back, cross my arms, and I'll just say, do you think you're wowing me? And they'll give you the answer, or I'll go, do you think that looks good? Or are you happy with that? Without them criticizing them or telling them what they've done wrong, they'll pick their parts apart. They know what what's wrong.
Yeah.
So they're making the decisions that they're going, oh, no, that's not good enough. Let's change it. I went, yep, cool. Let's change it. Let's do it like this then.
And it's great, right? Like you're not wielding a big stick, and this is where a lot of business owners, leaders get it wrong, where they come in there and they try and wield a big stick. But you haven't clearly developed the values or desired behaviors where that your team can own it, and that's a big difference. Own it. You've done a great job, yourself and Kylie have done a great job of allowing your team to own it, own the desired behaviors, expectations, because they know exactly what it is. Because you've set that this is the way we do it here, non-negotiable. These are our rules. I don't care if you've worked for 20 other organizations. When you cross the white line for Brizscapes, this is how we do it here. And guess what? This is what you're going to love about working for us, is that everyone owns it. Everyone's on the same page. And so everyone can then, would you agree, everyone can then not only self-assess, but the team and their peers will assess as well and drive performance up, and even say, look, come on, mate, that's not a wow, or that's not building team, or that's not building that honesty or that transparency in terms of delivering what we're about. Would you agree? Is that a key component of that improvement over the last 18 months?
Yeah, so we try and get the team to buy in to the business, that they're a part of the business, they're a part of the culture, they have a say. It's just not always Kylie and I going, you need to do this, you need to do that. Because by us telling them what to do all the time, when something comes up or when they have a problem, who are they going to call? Kylie or me? So the idea is to let them make the decisions, let them think about it, let them make the call and have the confidence to go, yep, let's do it like this.
Yeah.
All right. And then if they do it and they make a wrong decision and they've screwed up, I'll just go, okay, we went wrong. Okay, have we learnt? What can we do better next time? Did I make a mistake? Did I not give you enough information? What do you need? So I'm happy for the boys to make mistakes. It's the only way they're going to grow. They're only going to learn and develop themselves. That's another one of our cultural values. So
it's great. I love that you got that. Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the great values that you've got there, which is that learning, right? And because I think it taps into, like you mentioned, you cannot learn unless you fail, or you cannot learn unless you make mistakes. And you allow them to make mistakes, and they've got the confidence to have a crack and make mistakes. And again, the great thing what you've done is try to do it that they actually can find the problem rather than ringing you. A lot of business owners, they struggle. I'm busy all day. Well, what are you busy all day for? I'm getting phone calls. Well, what sort of phone calls are you getting? Oh, my team members keep on ringing. They've got problems. Well, why are they calling you? Have you not stopped to think about why they're actually calling? Have you not stopped to think about, what you can teach them so they don't have to call you? Teach them once and they don't have to call you again. Oh, I haven't got time for that. Okay, well, just get used to having no time because you're going to be answering the phone all the day. And that's that credit to you with how you're doing that.
Yeah, and sometimes it just comes down to me personally. What haven't I done correctly?
Correct.
Do I need to put a process in place or implement a structure so that when this thing happens again, we know what they have to do?
Yeah, and then that's a key thing, right? Like it's that ownership. You're not blaming your team or the client. You're looking at, as we talk about, it's that continual evolution of processes. And what we talk about, and Kylie, I'll get you to jump in, in a sec, like when we talk about how we do it here, how we're tracking those 1%ers, because if our costs are blowing out from a percentage point of view, it comes down to a lack of process, right? It's a process deficiency. And so, Kylie, with the connecting the team, obviously with the profit and loss, how we're tracking and the numbers, how are you finding that, giving your team ownership now and driving the process and ordering things and doing other things like that on site. How are you really finding over the last 18 months that transition and that growth within the team?
Yeah, look, it's been a big process, getting them to take control of that side of it. But like now, with having an operations manager on board, that's that one person that they can go to that's going to be doing the ordering, is going to be connecting with our suppliers, making sure that we're getting the best possible rates that we can be getting. So still define that, and we're always growing, and every single person is very important within our business. We've all got our important roles. Nobody's perfect. We don't have that expectation here. And like Malcolm said, we're connecting with our staff and saying, okay, well, what could we do differently to make this better for you next time? So it's very important that we get opinions back from our staff to make sure that everybody is happy coming to work for us every day.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, and that's that thing where, and on that too, that it's about one thing being happy, but they're being engaged, right? They're actually engaged in the brand, in the organisation they want to achieve, because they're owning it. And with that, just tying into that operations manager, because we nearly just want to sort of finish on this, is it now that fundamental piece, now getting that operations manager in there, getting that someone that can really sort of drive the team as well on site to give you a little bit more breathing space, especially Malcolm. We were talking about, this is over a few months ago or so, that discussion around it's hard to get someone. I can't find someone. And one of the things that we talk about is that, well, if the higher the quality of the candidate that you want, the longer it's going to take. And this is a lot of people say, oh, it's tough to get people, or, some people think they're just going to put a seek out there, and then all of a sudden within a week, they're going to find a gold team member. It's just not going to be, that's not the case. And this is where you need to have the patience to put, hire, slow, fire, fast mentality. Whereas if you haven't got the right person to come along, then don't hire them, or just, it's a long process. Okay. And this is where what you've done well is that, again, this is where the processes kick in by the sales pipeline. We see our sales pipeline well in advance that we've got a lot of work coming up. You could really position yourself and start to advertise for that operations manager position, because you're looking at the years ahead. You're starting to go, okay, this is the structure I need. And it's not a rush. Okay. It's not like all of a sudden, shit, I've got a lot of jobs on, I need someone to help me. And then you go out and you get someone on board. They're generally not the good candidate, but more importantly, you haven't got the right processes in place or the right data, the financials to make sure that they're accountable. So what you're doing is taking that time to make sure when you get that right person on board, they're supported by the data, and more importantly, you've got the information to ensure that they're delivering value to your organisation. So the question just on that one, back to you then, Malcolm, is how important is it to take your time to get the right person on board? How important is it to make sure you've got the right, again, job description, induction processes in play to ensure that individual is a high, you've got to pay him a good rate, so he's going to cost the business a fair bit if he doesn't hit the ground running. What were some of the key learnings that you had there, or key understandings now with your process that you must have in place to really onboard a high quality individual into your business?
I think it started back, from the finance side of things and what our conversion rates are, and knowing, okay, we've got all this work coming up, and we're tossing up whether we got an extra man on the ground or person on the ground or someone in the office. And we kind of decided to get an operations manager in, just because we knew we're doing a lot of work, but we're also doing a lot of misses as well. So we weren't getting the 1%ers right. And we found out the boys were going to Bunnings a bit, or going out getting pickups, or just doing a lot of time wasting, not really being productive on the ground working. So we decided to get the ops manager in, and it was a new position. We never had one before, to get him in to really control the team, organise the team, get the team motivated, get them going, help with their HR, workplace health, safety, and all these other little bits and pieces. But I guess a lot of the time was then spent on, okay, what's his role? What's his KPIs? How are you defining it? What's his weekly job? And then, as you're saying, Jonesy, what do we have to do to induct him to make sure he does the job well and to what we want? And that's been really hard. It hasn't gone smoothly, I must say, but we're working with him to make sure that it does run smoothly. And then if there happens to be a similar role or position come up again, then we're ready for that new position, so that one will run smoothly. So so it's been good, and it's been a good learning curve as well.
I think also with that, also one of the first processes before even doing a job description and that kind of thing, we refer straight back to our profit plan, and we can then, put a salary in there to make sure that we are still going to be making our operating profit, working off what our goals are in turnover. And by adding that extra team member on, how are we looking financially? Because that is a very important thing, to know that you have enough work to sustain another employee moving forward. So that's another important process in that, making sure that role is suitable for our business.
Yeah, and it's spot on there, Kylie. It's 100%. This is where a lot of people get it wrong, where they just see turnover, or they're busy and they'll throw in 80K, 100K or 50K, whatever that role is, without actually understanding, number one, the impact on the bottom line, and number two, then what's with that extra expense, that extra line item in my accounts, and how much do I need to ratchet up my sales? And that's the key thing that you do well, is what I want all our listeners to understand, is that whatever you're changing, whatever you're spending on, from our perspective within Q Performance, as a minimum, you should be generating that 15% operating profit margin. This is, after you draw a wage and after you pay yourself superannuation as the owner just for doing the job. Whereas a lot of people, they're not looking at that bottom line. They don't understand the bottom line. They don't understand the impact of putting another person on, what are the implications there. And because they don't start with those numbers, then there's no urgency in making sure they hit the ground running. There's no urgency in making sure they're delivering value. And there's no urgency in putting in clear KPIs, correct? And that's throughout the business. And that's obviously, Kylie, what you've had to do is you've had to rejig all your targets and things like that, correct? Because we've got that extra cost.
Absolutely.
And so
that's it.
And just to clarify that, because you've went through that due diligence, again, hire slow, work fast. And when I talk about hire slow means get your numbers right, get your processes right before you actually hire someone, so that when you have that first conversation with that potential employee, you can be very clear with your financial expectations or job descriptions and KPIs, correct? Because you've already gone through the due diligence around that.
Yeah, it just gives us the confidence.
That's right. It's a very clear picture.
And I think, tapping into it, Malcolm, like you said, it's a long term. It's in that growth phase. Sometimes it is tough. Sometimes, and this is where, along that journey, some people, you just got to understand, are they cut out for that role? Because not every hire is, even though you can do the best amount, and this is what everyone needs to understand too. You can do your best amount of due diligence, but sometimes it's just not the quite right fit for that particular role. They might be better suited for another role. But what I like hearing that, and this is why you're doing so well, right, is that for both of you take accountability. So in other words, and this is why I hear this for everyone out there, is that if an employee is not hitting the ground or hitting their mark, it's just like, don't point the finger at the employee or team member. Look at you as the leader. What could you do better? How can you educate them better? Where's the lack of processes? Are they lacking confidence? Do they even know our expectations? Do they know our values? Do they know actually what we're trying to achieve here? Because a lot of team members or staff members, employees are basically treated like mushrooms, just kept in the dark, fed nothing, okay? But there's this expectation that they're going to come out firing like an elite performer, where it's not going to happen. So it's a credit to you as well, to cop some knocks on the chin and, not sort of be aggressive and fight back, but really sort of think about, okay, what can I do better as a leader? And again, as we always talk about, it's a journey, correct? Both of you, you've done really well on a 13-year journey to date. And that's where just finishing up now, I sort of say, like, how important were those first, 11 years, tough years? How important are those initial years of growing now, that learning that you can now put into this next period to really escalate your business going forward? How important is that journey?
I think it's been a very long, tough journey initially. 18 months ago, it was tough, but we still, once we started working with you and Paul and Mark, it was all us as well. You guys guided us. It was up to us to put the hard yards in, set the benchmark each month. Each month we set a new benchmark, a new benchmark, a new benchmark. So you guys guide us, but we still have to put the hard work in. We have to set our figures because it's our business. We know our numbers. So now this is the new normal. This is where we are now. This is the new norm. This is our base. So we try and just push, okay, what's the next level? What's the next level? And then, we have our end game. We know what our end game is, what we want to achieve, not just business wise, but personally wise as well. So we just try and hit those targets to get to what our end game is, what our end game is.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, look, it's been really, from our point of view, we love being assisting you, guiding you. And what we want from our role in terms of our methodology and our processes is that you can have all the, as you mentioned, you can have all the targets and all the processes, but unless you have the want to really make it happen, nothing will happen. And it's credit to both of you to really, buying into what we're about. And I just love what you've done the last 18 months, but I just can't wait to what's going to happen in the next 18 months with that trajectory of where you're going. And given just to clarify, the uncertainty of the market, where we've been and what you've delivered over that period, over that last 18 months period, has been nothing short of, it's a great success, and we're stoked to be able to assist you. So as far as this podcast, Kylie and Malcolm, really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on board. Loved having you on board. Loved having been part of your journey to date as well.
It's been a good one.
Thanks
Plenty
so
more
much.
to come.
Awesome. And any of the listeners out there, hopefully you got the pen and paper out there, plenty of gold to start implementing and putting in your business, especially those that are frustrated, not sure where to go. Again, success leaves clues, and Kylie and Malcolm have left plenty of clues out there for you in terms of what's led to their success to date. So cheers, everyone.